we're going to informally define some of these terms. And then, so the top left one, an acute angle is somewhere between 0 and 90 degrees. And that would be angles D and angles F would both be acute, because you can tell it's less than 90 degrees because a 90 degrees will look like a capital L. And we can define that next term will be right, and a right angle would be 90 degrees. And you can always tell that it's 90 degrees because it will have that little square around it. So that tells us it's 90 degrees. An obtuse angle is somewhere between 90 and 180. And that's always going to look like a straight, an obtuse is always going to look bigger than 90 degrees. So that's going to be angle J down here. Draw that one again. Now, a straight line is going to be equal to 180 degrees. Just a straight line, and that's going to be line G. Notice that acute is less than 90. It cannot equal 90. Obtuse is more than 90. And then there only can be one. So you can't be acute and straight or acute and obtuse. It has to be just one of those. So the next one is that we're going to identify the angles that are congruent. Congruent means they're going to be the same. So notice how we name SON. There's different ways to name this. So angle SON, I start at S, I go to the O, which usually stands for origin, right there in the middle, and then I go to N. There's different ways we could name that. We could have started at N and then go to O and then go to S. So we could write, oh, that's going to be the same thing as writing angle NOS. But the angle that it's congruent to will be the same angle measurement, the same value, and it's going to be across from it. It also tells us a few different ways that we know this, that we can identify it. The first is, hey, they both have 65 degrees, so that they have to be the same. They both also give you this little line here, which they didn't do a good job of, but the angles right across from each other, those are called vertical angles, and that's going to be an important term, vertical angles. So I wrote that down, and that's going to be angle TOM, or we could have also written this as angle MOT, and that would have been the same thing. So the one below it, angle TOS, and what they really should be doing is they really should put a second mark here, and you'll see more in a later video. The amount of marks are telling you that they're equal to each other. So, but angle TOS, that's 115 degrees. That's going to be a congruent to angle MON. And again, because TOS is right here in pink, T goes to O, and then O goes to S. We could have also named this angle SOT. Two angles that add up to 90 degrees are complementary. So to find the complementary angle to 31 degrees, this would be 90 minus 31, which would be 59 degrees. So that would be the complementary angle. The supplementary would be two angles that add up to be 180 degrees. So the supplementary angle to 31 degrees would be 180 minus 31, which is 149. Use your calculator because a lot of students will say 159. This is 149 degrees. That's the angle that's supplementary. The last question below it, we're going to find out which angle is complementary to TOS. So let's identify it. T goes to O, and then O goes to S. And again, we could have named that SOT. Complementary would be two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So the only one, 61 plus what, is going to give us 90. And we could subtract 61 on both sides, or we could, this could be the same thing as we just did above it, where 90 minus 61, that's some terrible writing right there. And that's going to be 29 degrees. And there's only one angle here that's 29 degrees, which is right here. So we can name that QOP, or we could have named that POQ, and those would be the same thing. And the last question is which angle is complementary to angle ROQ. We'll identify this in orange. Again, this could have been named QOR, but that's 80 degrees. And so 80 plus what is 90? Well, that's going to be 10. So I will highlight the missing angle here in 10. That's going to be angle SOR. So angle SOR, or they could have named that angle ROS. Just two angles add up to 90 degrees. If you have any questions, please ask your math teacher.